The SRL on the NFL. Previews, predictions, and analysis covering every storyline in football every week. The SRL on the NFL. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to SRL on the NFL. My name is Brendan Yerkes, joined as always alongside Alex Vachaponte. This is week number 14 of SRL on the NFL, and we hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving, enjoyed all the football. Alex, it was a crazy day, that Thanksgiving.
Crazy football, and you had a crazier week. You went 15-1, which was just unreal.
Yeah, I know. I was going to get to that. It was unreal. The best week from both of us this season, 15-1. Steelers are the only team that upset me because, of course, they did, right? As you said. That was, a tough pick to make, just a random divisional game. You still had a solid week. Can't take away from that, 12-4, but 15-1 is kind of crazy. But I would sign up for 12-4 every week the rest of the way.
True.
Especially after how we started the year. But we've been pretty solid. Now I took a 2-game lead with 4 weeks to go, which is kind of crazy. I'm honestly glad we're almost done with the season because I can't watch the Jets play football anymore. All right, let's start with last week, week 13, the 3 Thanksgiving games, Black Friday game, and then Sunday and Monday. The Lions and the Bears, 23-20. The Lions were able to pull away in this game, and it was really a tale of two halves. I mean, the first half, the Lions were great. They were really good. They were showing what they've shown us all season. And the second half, they showed a little bit of weakness for the first time in, I think, like a month or two. I don't think I've seen them not look that good for a while. The Bears looked like they were going to crawl into this game, and the Bears should have won this game, and they did not due to horrible clock management by Matt Eberflus and Caleb Williams, the rookie. But due to it, Eberflus gets fired, and I think he absolutely should after that disgusting way to lose. I think have they lost, 6 in a row now, or is it worse? I mean, they were 4-2, and now they're
4-8.
Yeah. So the 6 in a row, he's out, and it's definitely deserved.
It's definitely deserved. The thing is, though, especially a lot of people are also blaming Caleb, and Caleb definitely deserves some blame, but you got to also protect your rookie quarterback when he's when the clock is dwindling down like that. And
they had a timeout.
Right, you have a timeout. You got to use the timeout, go for an out-of-bounds play or something, give your team a chance to try to tie the game up. There's no excuse for that, for him to snap the ball with only a few seconds left, and then it results in that type of play.
Right.
We can't, in terms of clock management, it was just horrible all around. Some people are blaming more of Caleb. I think it's definitely more on Eberflus.
It's definitely more Eberflus.
But I'm glad he's out.
And look, I get why they saved the timeout. I'm not I understand they wanted to get it and have the setup field goal and not have to rush that because obviously they've had problems with kickers in the past. The problem with Caleb was that he changed an audible and changed the play and tried this whole thing. That took way too much time off the clock. That's the thing he did wrong. But yes, you said, the coaches and everybody else need to help him out. Just be to snap the ball, spike the ball, do something because they literally lost. There were 30 seconds after that last play before it, and they took all of it.
Yeah.
And then they threw it down the field. It was a complete disaster. But Caleb had a good game, especially that second half. 3 touchdowns, 256 yards. Want to get that completion percentage up, but he's impressed, I think, in the last couple of weeks, albeit the team struggling overall. So I think that's something to look forward to, and it's a pretty attractive spot for whatever coach wants to go in there next to get to work with him. Next game, the Giants and the Cowboys, closer than we thought. 27-20, the Cowboys get the win. Drew Lock had to play, so I don't think the Giants really had a chance, but they had a lead in this game, and I don't really think there's much to say. It's just 2 not so great teams. The Cowboys are starting to trend back to being an average team, which we thought they would. We never thought they would be as horrible as they are. So the Giants are a bad football team, and I think that's that.
Yeah, there's not really much to it. Giants are just bad. I'm glad that they lost. And yeah, Dallas is starting to creep a little bit back into it. It's going to be really tough for them to make the playoffs, but they still get a shot.
Yeah, and the night game, Miami and Green Bay. I was on this one. Green Bay beat Miami because it was cold. I knew it was going to happen. It's so predictable that the Dolphins, it's just no matter who is on that team over the years, they just do not know how to play in the cold. And Mike McDaniel was even freezing. So he was just out of it. Green Bay looks like they're rolling along. They finally caught some steam here. And that's it. they're rolling. Miami's they're trying to fight for a playoff spot. I don't think they're going to be able to get in. They're too far out of it. This loss certainly didn't help. Good game from Tua though in the cold. Everybody else not so much.
Yeah, I mean, going though from the third into the fourth, like I was starting to think, I was like, wait a second, they're kind of making this a little bit interesting. But again, then Green Bay put their foot down, and that was really that. But yeah, I mean, it's more of a testament to the Packers because again, they've been so amazing all year. Obviously, they dealt with the Love injury early on, and they bounced back from that pretty easily. And I think for the Dolphins, it's just again, it's tough getting back into rhythm. Obviously, they had Tua out for that long period of time, and they're starting to get that rhythm back. I mean, you've won 3 out of 4. That's pretty good. But at this point, there really is just no margin for error. At
Right.
this point, if they want a shot at the playoffs, they basically have to win out or lose only one game, which is
Yeah,
really
Green Bay took a big lead early and kind of took that all the way. They
yeah.
held on, but yeah, another good showing there. The Chiefs and the Raiders. The Chiefs win again, but another not so great game from Kansas City. Only 19-17. Are you concerned with the way Kansas City's looked the past few weeks?
I mean, a little bit, but at the end of the day, come playoff time, it's just it goes to your Arrowhead. Like
Right.
that's
Well,
their
they might not
team.
at this point. The Bills have an easy schedule, and they refuse to lose as well.
But and they do have the head-to-head win. So I mean, yeah,
Yes.
if the Chiefs start losing, but I mean, they still only have one loss right now. So like again, they would have to lose, and then the Bills would then take over.
Listen,
But
if they play like this going right into the playoffs, I'm going to be concerned, but they still have 4 weeks to figure it out.
they
Because
got
like, if you could look at their whole season, like every game, well, I don't know if I can say every game, but probably half the games that they've won have come down to like the last play or have been very close right at the end. So they're
true.
not like dominating like they have in the past. But again, playoffs are a different beast, like you said.
Right, and they're just a team that's always built for the playoffs. They always know when to turn it on, and they usually make the Super Bowl and or win the Super Bowl. So I'm not too concerned, especially based on their experience. But they haven't played their best football yet. But I think obviously since we do have a few more weeks, that best football is to come.
Moving on, Sunday, Chargers and Falcons. Chargers won 17-13. They keep getting those sneaky wins, defensive wins, only allowing 13 points, as you have alluded to most of this year. And I think Atlanta's it's just such a strange team. They're 6-6. They're very hot and cold. And I still don't know what to make of them this late into the season. I guess they're just an average football team. Like I think we have to pump the brakes and the expectations a little bit. We all thought they were going to take that next step offensively, and they haven't done that. And it's a little late for it to happen now. Again, they could still make a push for the playoffs in that division. I believe they're tied with the Bucks, so I think
Yeah,
it's
they are.
it's they have a chance to get in, but it's just same old NFC South, I guess.
It at the end of the day, it really is just the same old NFC South. It's just mid all around, pretty much. And yeah, to the Chargers again, they just have been consistently really good defensively. Like, they just have a bunch of solid guys that they rotate, and it works. For the Falcons, though, yeah, with I feel like the issue though at the end of the day is just Kirk is coming back from a very serious injury with the Achilles, and you're not really right your first year back. It
It's
really
the second year.
it's that second year, so that's the thing as well. And but you could also question, well, is he too old? Like
He is
that,
old too.
he is definitely up there. So I it's frustrating for me as a fan because I wonder what it would have been like had he not gotten injured last year, how good this Falcons team would have looked, and I feel like they would have been much better had he not gotten injured. So that's something I always think about, honestly.
Well, they didn't have to sign him.
They didn't.
I mean, he
They
wasn't
gave him a
their
bet.
quarterback. Like they willingly signed up for this.
True.
So I don't know. And they have Michael Penix Jr., but he went in I think a week or two ago, but just in garbage time when they were losing.
He's not ready yet, though. But yeah,
Yeah, definitely not.
no.
So it's strange. Next game, Steelers Bengals. The only game I got wrong. I had a weird feeling the Bengals were going to pull this one out at home against a division rival. This was defense optional, unlike the Charger Falcon game.
Right.
44-38.
Wow.
And Russell Wilson, they're letting him cook. 414 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 76.32% completion percentage. Wow. He's back. I mean, I guess like he didn't fit well into the Broncos scheme, but I mean, when he came back, when they put him in instead of Fields when they played the Jets back in week, I think 5 or 6, everyone's like, "What are you doing?" Fields is doing great, but Russell Wilson he's looked like his old self, throwing the ball in the run, like everything.
Yeah. I mean, shout out Dangerous. He
Try that sandwich, baby.
right, yeah, try something dangerous.
The Danger Witch.
Danger Witch. Um, he's second in pass yards per game, which is just really impressive. Just right next to Burrow with like only a 7 yard difference. He's been great, and they clearly believe in him. Because I thought that they would have just rode with Justin Fields, but they clearly made the right decision. And you look at the Steelers team; they're 9-3. Like, it's starting to get to the point where even though we don't think that they're going to be too serious come playoff time, we have to start.
You never know.
Seriously to an extent. So
I think this game kind of put it in for me because everyone looks at Russ now like you look back and you're like, this man he never got the MVP vote
no,
like everyone always talked about, and like, but you always looked at it like this is like an all time like great career. He has a Super Bowl. He's been very good for a long time, and
yeah.
then you just think now all I could think about is the 2 years with Denver and just how awful they were. Like it's rare you see somebody's legacy get tarnished so much by such a small amount of time. Like I don't think. If you ask anybody about Russell Wilson, I think they think of the Broncos first now, just because it's recent.
So weird.
And it's just, it really, like, I always thought Russell Wilson was the man, and now it's just like, that's what you think of. And now this year he's bringing it back of how good he's been. So he might be able to stay and play a couple more years. Like, 'cause he's not super old in the grand scheme of quarterbacks. Like, he's not young, but he could play for another couple years if he keeps this up for sure. And another guy I want to talk about on the Steelers, keeping the fountain of youth going. What happened to Najee Harris? He's back. His rookie year, he was awesome. Then he was like, meh, right? Just I say meh the last couple of years. He hasn't really done much. Looks slow, like unable to get a burst of speed. This year he's unreal. He's back playing some of his best football in his pro career this year. And I think maybe that goes to the whole offense being balanced out, that he's going to be able to run easier, that the pass game is going. In this game he had 75 yards and a touchdown on only 16 attempts. So he's been killing it. And the Steelers, they're just rolling to first place.
True. Shocking.
Especially with the Ravens losing, that we'll talk about later.
Right.
Texans, Jaguars. The Texans win 23-20. I think we would have skipped past this, but the main story is Trevor Lawrence getting popped in the head by Aziz Al-Shaair.
Yeah.
And then getting suspended 3 games for it. I mean, what did you think of the hit?
So here's my thing with the hit. Obviously, it's a dirty play. You can't be doing that on the football field. But I do agree with some people in that Trevor could have done a little bit more to protect himself in regards to he slid relatively late. While it is recommended for quarterbacks to slide, and they should be sliding, he slid basically like 2 to 3 yards before he got hit. So it's really hard for a defensive player to just stop all their momentum instantly. And while the quarterback did give himself up, it's hard to just instantly stop in your tracks like that. So yeah, it's a dirty hit. Yeah, he should get some type of fine and maybe a brief suspension. I would even say maybe just 1 game. But
yeah, you say it was 3.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit.
That's too much. I agree. I agree with everything you're saying.
But yeah, I think he could have done a little bit more to protect himself, or either try to head more towards out of bounds, or just slide sooner, because 2 to 3 yards before that person's coming at you, you're almost asking to get hit. And it's a tough situation because he does slide, but he slid relatively late, and that's where I have kind of issues about it personally.
Yeah, I agree. He should have slid a little bit earlier. I still think the hit was really bad, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I would say like a 1 or 2 game suspension and a fine. The 3 seems a little bit excessive, but
3 is excessive. Yeah.
If they want to take player safety seriously, then everyone should be all for it. But it depends how they continue to enforce this moving forward, because this is not the last time this type of play is going to happen.
Right. It's
maybe not as egregious. So like it's going to be on that scale. Like if it's somebody else, is it going to be more? Is it going to be less? Like if that wasn't Trevor Lawrence and that was like somebody random, like if that was like Tyrod Taylor, say he was playing in a game, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like just to pick up a random backup quarterback,
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. That's for the NFL to enforce, and I'm sure they'll mess it up as we move forward. The Vikings beat the Cardinals 23-22. This is a game the Cardinals were in grasp of. The Vikings 10 points in the fourth quarter. They're able to pull it out, come back against the Cards, and then get another win. Kind of crazy. They keep doing it. Another good game for the Cardinals offense, but the Vikings offense keeps rolling too, and they get the win. 235 yards for Darnold, 2 touchdowns, and Jefferson 1 yard shy of 100.
I mean, you know what I will say? Under are under O'Connell's tenure as a coach, they're very good taking out one-score games. Like we've
Yep.
noticed that a few years ago
Yeah, 2 years ago.
when they got upset by the Giants, but we're seeing it now this year too, and that's a very good quality to have. Yeah, I understand like it's maybe not sustainable per se, but you need to be able to pull out the close games, and they most certainly been able to do that this year, and that's a really important thing. And they're 10-2 right now. Like, yeah, they're probably not as talented as other playoff teams, and probably have like a few extra wins than probably what their record should really indicate. But here they are. They're 10-2. They're not a joke. Like
Nope.
when they started off like 5-0 or whatever, I was like, yeah, but like they're cuties. And now I'm like, no, you got to take them seriously. It's getting to that point.
You know what it is? They have Danny Dimes now, so
Yeah, best backup in the league. There you go.
yes. Colts beat the Patriots 25-24. Pats tried a 68-yard field goal that was probably like a yard short, so that's crazy. That would have been the record. That's outside too, and not in Denver. Usually it's indoors when there's no elements. Seahawks and the Jets. Do I even waste my time? I mean,
You don't
this.
need to. I mean,
Listen, I mean, I will want to say like this was like the weirdest football game I think I've ever watched. To
it
be
was
honest,
really
I don't know
weird.
if you were watching it.
It was, yeah.
The first half, it's like so. Laviska Shenault, he's now been waived by the Seahawks because of this.
Right.
Fumbled 3 kicks in the first half.
Not
He
great.
got one of them back. The other 2 were grabbed by the Jets. One of them by the kicker.
Hmm.
The first one, I think they ended up scoring. The second one is when the Jets really could have put a nail in the coffin. It was like 21-6 at this point. They
Yep.
threw a pick six. Rodgers threw a pick six to former Jet and Giant Leonard Williams.
Legend.
So that was crazy, and that's his first touchdown. That makes the
Yep.
game close again. The Jets also had a kick return in that first half. They had an extra point blocked. The Seahawks had an extra point blocked.
Weird.
It was like one of the craziest displays of football I've ever seen. Just to add to what the disaster of this Jets season is. And then the Jets after that hot start, the offense looked good. The offense just in the second half had nothing going. They fell apart. The Seahawks chipped away at it. They had at 1.8 plays within the 1 yard line to try and score a touchdown, and the Jets stuffed them, which was crazy.
Yep.
The defense actually stepped up there, but how long can the defense hold off a pretty decent offense? Eventually, the Seahawks scored. They took the lead. Jets couldn't do anything about it, and that was the game. I'm not going to flip out because there's no reason to anymore. I just think it was an insane football game. I've never seen anything like it. But I like I said with the Bears, there's pieces there. As disastrous as it is, I still think that whatever coach comes into the Jets has a chance to get this thing right in a year and have them be a competitive team. I'm not saying too much there, I don't think. I think that's a pretty broad statement. Like I think they could be like a team fighting for a playoff spot because there still is a lot of talent on the team. There's a lot of holes they need to fill in now. But with the right coach, first year especially, they would be able to, I think, with the talent that they have, figure it out pretty quickly. But they do need a quarterback, and that's pretty clear. Rodgers is not cutting it anymore. The turning point of right before that pick six, he threw overthrew Garrett Wilson. It was wide open in the end zone. So
right,
that can't happen.
Can't. No, and
We'll see.
Thing with Seattle too. They were 4-5 a couple weeks ago or a few weeks ago, and everyone started writing them off. Say, oh yeah, no, Seattle just doesn't have it this year. They're now on top of the NFC West. Again, the NFC West is a bloodbath. There's only going to be one team coming out of it too because the North is just insane. So it's going to be crazy in terms of a finish with the Cardinals, Rams, and Niners all either a game or max 2 games out of each other. But I think Seattle has as good of a shot as anyone in this division, and they got a decent schedule. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I remember a few weeks ago, I think I said it. We both agreed that the Seahawks were just average, and now they've pulled out a couple wins here and are kind of bringing themselves back. But if you told me, I was going to say 5, I'll say even 2 or 3 years ago that the NFC West would become one of the worst divisions in football, I would say you're nuts. It's very average.
It's average, but like to me, there's levels to this. Like the NFC South versus the NFC West. I'm taking the
right, but like, what do you consider a good division? Like obviously like there's like the NFC North, which is 3 very good teams.
Insane.
Like,
yeah.
But like, is there a division where there's like two, like the AFC North is typically good too? But say this year there's like 2 really good teams and 2 really bad teams. Like, does that mean more than like 5 better than 5 average teams? Like, it depends what we're ranking it by.
I think for me it depends on like how good are like all of the teams collectively. That's how I'd rate a division. But then
Yeah.
also like if everyone's 6-6 or 5-7, it's also like that's not really
I mean, the
great.
point I'm trying to make is like that division had like the juggernaut Rams, the juggernaut 49ers, the Seahawks were always juggernaut, and the Cardinals it had their times of being good, like
Yeah,
before, they like kind of had to rebuild a little bit once like Larry Fitz went away.
right.
And now they're just all mid. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean this year, yeah, especially they just put
Right.
mid. It's weird.
All right, Commanders bounced back after the two losses. They beat the Titans 42-19. Not shocking there. The Titans,
They
you
needed
know,
that desperately.
right.
Desperately, they needed that win.
Jaden Daniels, offensive rookie of the week. Oh, actually, I think rookie of the week in general. So good for him. He bounces back. They've been struggling a little bit. The Buccaneers beat the Panthers 26-23. That was actually a pretty close game. They win in overtime. I think it was a bad fumble by the Bucks, but Bucky Irving, 152 yards and a touchdown. Really good game for him. Rams beat the Saints. Nothing too crazy there either. 21-14. This is the game that we wanted to talk about, the Eagles and the Ravens. This one, 24-19 in favor of the Eagles. And I think we just saw it again. Saquon Barkley is just an absolute specimen on the football field. He's in the MVP conversation, and he definitely should be. 107 yards rushing. And it's every week. It's just amazing what he's able to do.
I mean, he has like nearly 1,800 total yards, 1,500 basically. I mean, 1,499. I'm rounding up. 1,500 rushing yards first in the league. Total yards per game, 147. Like this is 13 touchdowns, second in the league. So it's just like, wow. Like, and looking at how I've seen Saquon like the past few years with the Giants, I really was like, yeah, he's clearly lost a step. He's just not the same player anymore. And clearly he is. Clearly in a better situation. He's able to still put up a lot of numbers. It probably was just more of a reflection of how bad the Giants were.
Yep.
And we're seeing it every week. He's been insane.
This is,
The only concern I have for him is just making sure he stays on the field. That's my only concern.
and he has so far.
Yeah,
This is like a classic Eagles win. Like
right,
the Ravens offense was pretty good, and you look at the stats, but it felt like they couldn't get anything going the entire game,
right.
even though the stats look pretty good. And they just really they got their points. Their offense wasn't spectacular. I mean, obviously Saquon was really good, like we said, but like they didn't have too many points either.
No,
They made the timely plays. The Eagles just dirty football, and not like dirty like bad plays, but just like dirty, like it's tough in your face, like you're not
right.
getting it here, and it just felt like they went in there and they shut down that crowd and they took control, and now they are cruising too. They're one of the top teams in football right now. I'm have them and the Lions as the best two teams in football right now. So moving forward,
Fair point.
Sunday night, the Bills at home in the snow, they spanked the 49ers 35-10. I don't know if you have any points on that one. Another good game for Josh Allen. The 49ers just couldn't get anything.
Yeah. What I want to touch upon though is just like how frustrating it must be for McCaffrey getting injured again, and probably I think from what I understand he's out for the rest of the year.
Right.
It's just that's so frustrating because that's such a hard injury to come back from. He worked so hard to get back, and I don't know if you saw early on in the game, he was looking really good. I was like, oh wow, we got CMC back, and then he gives himself up on one play, just slides down, and I'm like, ugh, that definitely doesn't look good. And him taking himself out of a play like that, like, is very concerning. And yeah, it's just another non-contact injury. It's horrible because he's such a good
Yep.
player, when
Especially for
healthy,
running back.
and I hope he's ready to go and everything next year. I just feel like for this Niners team, everyone's just so beat up. I think they're probably just gonna look towards next year type of thing.
Yeah, everyone's going to write him off, and it's just like people are putting it on Shanahan, but they really are just so injured. And
Yeah,
they haven't been able to get into a rhythm. And sometimes you just have one of those years, and they still might somehow sneak into the
they
playoffs
could.
as like
They're
the
close.
division winner. But yeah, that next year I think they'll be back in business, because you saw what they were capable of early, like the first week. They
Right.
played the Jets. I mean, the Jets, so they not really much of a thing, but the 49ers dominated that game. So
Definitely.
that's something. And the last game of the week, the most Jameis Winston game in the history of Jameis Winston games.
Common.
The Browns fell to the Broncos 41-32, and the Broncos are in pretty good position to make the playoffs at this point. I think they have Kansas City this week. No, actually they don't. I'm wrong with that, but they play them again soon. and that'll be a big game because they're in it. They have a spot. They have a wild card spot. Bo Nix has been solid. This was Jerry Jeudy's first game back in Denver. He had 235 yards and a touchdown, so that's absolutely nuts. And they lost still. But Winston, 497 passing yards, so almost a 500-yard passing game, 4 touchdowns, and still 3 picks, including 2 pick sixes. What is going on?
That's the Jameis experience.
I love Jameis Winston. I mean, who doesn't? He's just, you gotta love it.
But I also am curious. Do you know what the top passing yard game is of all time? Like that's gotta be.
It's gotta be at least 500. Didn't Brady have 500 in the Super Bowl against the Eagles?
Yeah. So I wonder though, how close is he kind of towards knocking towards that? Because that's crazy. And also, mind you, throwing still 3 picks in that mix, that's almost impossible to do as well. It's so weird, how he'll have such great moments and then those picks too.
I have the list. Passing yard single game leaders. In first is Norm Van Brocklin, 1951 with 554. Second, second place, which is crazy. There's a tie. It's Matt Schaub from the Houston Texans.
Wow,
with 527. He's tied with Warren Moon. Also, I guess Houston. Well, I guess that was the Oilers at the time.
Moon is a legend.
Titans, 527. So then for number 4, because those two are tied, is Burrow in 2021 at 525. And that's tied. At 5th, then it's Ben Roethlisberger and Boomer Esiason are both tied with 522, and then it goes down slowly like that. But I think, that Brady game's not even on here, so I guess it was a little bit lower than we thought. There's a different Brady game.
Maybe they don't count too. I don't know, but that's crazy.
That was close.
That's what I mean. He was sort of knocking on that door,
and they lost,
and they still lost.
That's why I talked about that Brady game in that Super Bowl. He had that many yards and they lost.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy too in itself. So that just proves, even if your quarterback has insane numbers, you may not always win. But that's the Jameis experience.
It is.
That's what you're gonna get.
And now for our experience, we're gonna shift to our picks for Week 14. Before we do, just gonna plug our socials. Follow us at SRL.media on Instagram and TikTok. All right, Thursday Night Football. It's going to be going on as this goes out, but the picks are being made before the game starts. It's 5:15 Eastern time right now, so no fake picks here or anything. And this is probably the best Thursday Night Football game of the season to this point and going forward, schedule-wise, matchup-wise. Green Bay, Detroit, rivalry's always been there. It's been bigger the last 2 years because both teams have been pretty good, and the Lions are rolling. Green Bay is rolling, so this should be a great football game. And it's a really tough one to pick. I just made my pick right now. Usually I make them a little bit before we do the show. And I've really thought about it, and I'm going with Green Bay. I think I'm going to take Green Bay because they've been rolling, like I mentioned. And I think the Lions' second half, you saw a little bit of weakness there. And I think that the Packers are going to try to find those weaknesses and attack it. This game is in Detroit, so it's inside. The Packers can't get their outside factor, their benefit when they're at home usually. And they also, another thing, I think they got spanked by the Lions a month ago. And I think that it's in the back of their minds and they're ready for revenge to go into there. And, the Lions feeling all high and mighty after Green Bay's dominated that rivalry for a long time. Lions have had some success lately. They're going to want to go in and spank them. So Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, expecting another big game. Jacobs especially lately has been really good running the football. I'm going to want to see a lot of that tonight. Give me the Packers.
I'm going with Detroit. I think that they're so fed up with being considered the little brother to the Packers in terms of the division always because of how much success that the Packers have had in their history versus the Lions. And they had a statement win a few weeks ago against them, like you mentioned, and Green Bay's probably not too happy about it. But I think the Lions are going to come out even harder because they're also just fed up, but they're fed up with the history and just the constant.
They want the sweep.
They want the sweep. I think that they want the sweep, and also I just like their chances at home as well. So give me the Lions.
Well, talk about a pivot. The first Sunday game is the Jags and the Titans. Just give me Tennessee. They're at home. Jags. Trevor Lawrence going to be out for the rest of the year because of that hit that we mentioned earlier. So I'm going to take the Titans at home. They got spanked last week, but there's just two bad teams. I mean, again, it wouldn't shock me if Jacksonville won. I think Mac Jones is pretty solid at this point. So whatever. Give me the Titans. They're at home.
Give me the former Pro Bowler in Max.
Oh, don't even.
So I'm gonna be going with the Jags here. I just think that they're randomly due for a win. I mean, they're playing obviously a terrible team, so it's trash versus trash. Just
AFC South football. You know it.
South football, classic AFC.
Just South football.
So yeah, at this point, just give me the Jags. There's not really more rhyme or reason to it. Former Pro Bowl legend, so yeah, let's see what happens.
The South is blessed with the SEC and SEC football that they've been banished to watching the NFC and AFC South divisions play football.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
All right, Jets in Miami. They're in Miami. Give me the Dolphins. They're going to bounce back. They're at home. The Jets also haven't won in Miami since 2014, which is a fun fact for you.
That's crazy.
And they play every year, so that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I knew they haven't won there in a while. I didn't think it was that bad though, because they've beaten the Dolphins like a bunch of times between like now and that stretch. Just I guess it was at home. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really much to say. The Jets are terrible. They can't beat anybody. Give me the Dolphins.
Yeah, give me the Dolphins here as well. I think that Tua is really starting to get into a role here. And yeah, just the Jets really haven't been able to do much, if anything, all year. I'm seeing that Brees is questionable. I don't know if how serious.
Yeah, he was last week too. It's like on and off. I don't know.
I mean, same with Tyreek, but I don't think it's too serious either. So probably both are gonna play. But yeah, give me the Dolphins here at home. I just think their offense is really starting to click.
Yeah, I would expect a big play from Tyreek early in that game. He usually gets one against the Jets, like catch and run type of thing.
Right.
So I would look out for that. Atlanta and Minnesota. I'm going to go with the Vikings. They came back and won last week. They're at home again. I think that's going to be a factor here. The Falcons are just meh. But then again, Kirk Cousins going back to Minnesota, so that's something to look out for. And but Darnold's rolling. Give me the Vikes.
Yeah, give me the Vikes as well. I just think that at this point, Atlanta is just too inconsistent to trust. Watch them come out and drop 40 on them, because they will.
Because they can.
Because they're so inconsistent, but they'll do that just because. But yeah, I think that the Vikings are just kind of rolling right now, and they're just a very solid team. So yeah, give me them.
Okay, Saints, Giants. I'm going to take the Saints. Again, two bad teams, but the Giants, I think, especially because they don't have any quarterback situation this week. Is it Locke? Is it DeVito? They've been bouncing back and forth just because of injuries. The Saints have had Derek Carr playing actually pretty well for the last couple of weeks. They won. I think they won a game or two. I'm not exactly sure. I think just one in the last couple of weeks, but they've looked a little bit better on offense, and the Giants just have nothing going for them. So give me the Saints and an angry MetLife Stadium crowd.
Yeah, they're probably not going to be too happy. I am also going to be picking the Saints. I just think that it's slightly better trash than the Giants. I think though Tyrone Tracy will probably have a solid game, sneak in a touchdown or something. But yeah, and it looks like the Italian legend should be starting. He's probable, so wait on that. But don't expect much. Yeah, give me the Saints.
I figured it'd be DeVito if he was healthy, but I know it was kind of up in the air.
Right, because
it still kind of is, I guess.
Yeah.
You never really know. Panthers and Eagles. This one's in Philly. I think this is a no-brainer as well. Give me the Eagles. Panthers have been in a lot more close games lately than expected, so that's good for them. They've been fighting hard, but I think the Eagles are a different beast right now.
Yeah, I think the Panthers have looked relatively good as of late, even though they haven't been winning much. But yeah, the Eagles are just a unit right now, so give me the Eagles at home, definitely.
Yeah, the Panthers played the Chiefs well 2 weeks ago, so something to keep in mind. But I think the Eagles are playing way better than the Chiefs are at this point.
Definitely.
Browns and Pittsburgh again. We picked Pittsburgh against the Browns last time, and of course the Browns won. But Pittsburgh's at home. They had that huge offensive win last week. So it could be another famous Jameis shootout game with Russ. So that's crazy. But give me the Steelers at home.
Yeah, give me the Steelers here as home as well. So that means you guys could put all your money on the Browns because the Browns are going to win
again.
Right, you could. Don't worry about it. You guys will definitely win.
500 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks.
Right, exactly. Legacy game for Jameis. You guys can lock that down. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm giving the Steelers their credit and respect. They're definitely the clear, much better team right now. So yeah, give me the Steelers, especially at home.
Let Russ cook. All right, Raiders and Buccaneers. It's in Tampa. Again, they've been fighting through injuries all year as well, but they're sneaking out wins. They're still fighting for that division. They got something to play for. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm taking Tampa Bay as well. I mean, the Raiders are 2-10. They're not a good football team, and Baker's starting to turn it up a bit. And yeah, this is a must win for the Bucs at this point. I
Yeah,
mean,
especially against a team like Las Vegas, they have to pull this out if they want the
they
division.
do. Yeah,
it's going to be close, and they're in it. They're tied, like we said, but they have to win this game.
If they lose this game, I feel like this really severely kills their playoff chances. So yeah,
right.
they got to pull this one out.
All right, Seattle and Arizona. This one's tough. They played 2 weeks ago. I feel like the NFL's been doing like a trend of that lately, where some divisional opponents don't play each other till late in the season, and then they play like all like clustered together. It's very strange.
It happens a lot with the Giants and Eagles usually. But
yeah, I just like the Steelers played the Browns 2 weeks ago. The Seahawks and the Cardinals played 2 weeks ago. The Jets and Dolphins play in 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure. So it's just strange the way that's been going. But Seattle got the better of Arizona last time. Kyler Murray threw a crucial pick six late in that game, which sealed it and let the Seahawks pull away. Now the Cardinals are at home, and I think that they're really feeling it after they lost, I think, 2 games in a row now, that game, and then last week to Minnesota. So they're at home. Offense has still been clicking. I think this is a game they need to dig in. Their first, like one of their most meaningful games they've played in a couple of years, so I think they're going to be fired up for it. And like I said, they're at home. Give me the Cards.
I'm going to be going with Seattle here. I think that Seattle's really starting to roll. I mean, they've won 3 games in a row. I'm going to give them their credit. I think this is obviously a tough environment for them to hop into because Arizona has been relatively good this year. But I like Seattle's momentum right now. So give me Seattle.
Bills are in LA taking on the Rams. I think the Bills might be turning into the best team in the AFC at this point. So they're rolling. Give me Buffalo.
Yeah, there's not really much more to say. I just think Buffalo is just clearly the better team right now. The Rams aren't terrible. They're a solid team. They just obviously got off to a slow start because of all the injuries. But they're starting to, again, get back into it. But I'm taking the Bills here. It's hard to pick against them.
All right, another home game for an NFC West team. The 49ers are hosting the Bears, and this one I thought actually a long time about. But I think I'm going to go with the Bears here to get the upset win. They haven't won a game in 6 weeks. The 49ers have struggled. They played a good team in Buffalo last week, but it's the Matt Eberflus fired. We always say it's the new coach comes in. Usually they win a game, at least make it competitive. So there's going to be some spunk. They're going to be a little bit excited, a little more juice because I know a lot of the players in Chicago were not happy with how Matt Eberflus has been the last few weeks. Caleb's been playing well enough. Brock Purdy has struggled. I think there's a lot of potential here for the Bears to come and get an upset win and then maybe take a nice morale win as we go into the final 3 weeks of the season.
It's a really cool take. I think I'm still gonna be going with I'm gonna be going with the Niners here still. I think, yeah, like the Bears are probably due for some type of morale win or something like that. But I mean, the Niners are playing for their lives. If they lose this one, they're probably done. So
you can't deny the talent on that roster, so I can't blame you there.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm rolling with. I'm riding with the talent right now, but and they need this. Like if they lose this game, they kind of basically have to win out the rest of the year anyway. But yeah, if they lose this game, I feel like their season's done. So they got to play with the sense of urgency.
I feel like I went bold this week with a lot of my picks, a lot of the opposite.
The bold.
So maybe I'm giving you the lead back, but you gotta have some fun, right?
Right. Yeah. True.
All right, Sunday night game: Chargers and Kansas City. Chargers have looked good, but again, Chiefs haven't looked their best lately. But I'm still rolling with the Chiefs. I can't bet against them yet. I think they're gonna, be able to figure it out. It's at home, so that'll play a factor. We just need to see more from Mahomes. I think they haven't really gotten the ball around. The run game stifled last week. Kareem Hunt had his worst game of the season since he signed there. They need to get that going again. I think they will, even though that Charger defense is really good. But it's a good test for them to kind of get it right against a good team because it didn't really go for them when we said they're going to get it right against a bad team. The Panthers, it didn't really happen. So now I think if they could kind of beat this Charger offense, it'll be just, Charger defense, it would be just what they need to get going again. So give me the Chiefs. They're at home. That means something.
I'm going to be going with the Chiefs here as well. I think at this point, they're also really trying their best to get Pacheco more acclimated because he just had his first game back last week and didn't put up anything ridiculous. I mean, you're trying to get him back into the swing of it. But I think what will make Pacheco more effective is actually if they use Hunt more, so that they're both solidly well rested and are able to have a sick running back tandem like how the Lions do it. Hunt's been really good this year, so I personally think they should kind of go towards that like Lions route where it's kind of like a 1A 1B situation, because Pacheco is a really good runner too. So that's my take on it. It looks like though they're delegating Hunt to RB2 duties, which is fine. He is more than solid at that. But I think with his success this year, I think it would be a good idea to really 1A 1B type. But
I agree, especially as he's my best fantasy player. So
there you
we
go.
need that. We need those points from Kareem Hunt.
Yep.
He did not have a good week last week, so that run game was tough. I mean, the Raiders have a pretty solid front. That's probably one of the strength of their team. So
True.
I think the Chargers also have a very good front. I think the secondary is a little bit weaker. It's still pretty solid.
Right.
So see if they can get past that. That would be good. But yeah, we're still taking the Chiefs. You can't pick against the Chiefs yet, even though we gave a lot of good reasons of why they shouldn't win. But, still feeling it. And the last game, Cincinnati, Dallas, Cowboys, they've been better. They've won 2 games in a row, but they beat the Giants and the Commanders. So, say what you want about those two teams. I mean, the Commanders have been pretty solid. They're probably going to make the playoffs at this point. But the Bengals, they put up a lot of points. If they put up as many points this week against a inferior defense as they did last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, they will definitely win this game on the road. So give me the Bengals to close out the week.
I think Dallas is I think they only have one home win this entire year, and I think it was just from Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they have not been good at home this year.
Oh, they're not a good home team. I'm going to be rolling, obviously, with the Bengals here. I just think that they have much more talent that's definitely healthier, too, which is important. And they're of similar records, but it actually is shocking that Dallas has one more win than them, just because the Bengals have been in so many close games this year. But that's how it is in the NFL. You got to close out those close games.
Yep.
But, yeah, give me the Bengals. Yeah.
All right, so that's going to do it for week number 14 of SRL on the NFL this season. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you check us out on social media at srl.media on Instagram and TikTok. Once again, my name is Brendan Yerkes, joined alongside Alex Vachapante. Thank you so much for tuning in to week 14 of SRL on the NFL.